It's September 2nd, 2024. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds. It's your monthly Monday takeover. So we're here on youtube.com/Fightful, as we always are at the beginning of every month. The first Monday of that month, we take over. Jeremy Lambert is here. I feel a little squishy today. I don't know what it is. Something feels like the walls have come in on me. I can't explain it, but how are you doing?
Feel very in the weeds today.
Yeah.
Like we're really, really in the weeds today, everybody.
Yeah, we're surrounded by the weeds in a way that we've never been surrounded.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
I don't know. We got to dig through. We need to probably like cut the grass at some point. It's getting a little long.
It's been over a year. We're going to be, before we know it, it'll be 2 years of this, of just being in the weeds and just letting it grow. The winter's going to get here anyway. And once the winter's here, the snow will take care of the grass. And that it will just not be visible for us.
What if it doesn't snow?
Then global warming has taken its course.
Might not snow. You never know. What if it just doesn't? What if winter does not come?
I'm pretty sure AEW would be very angry if winter didn't come, considering every year it's been coming.
They should hold winter's coming in like Los Angeles.
Bring it to Mexico.
Yeah.
That would be the funniest one. Oh, you know where they should have it? I think they should have it in the Z Zone. Hello.
I'm sick.
Still?
Fair.
Today I'm much better.
Oh my God.
God.
That was
my skin looks good though. Got clear my skin looks.
That looked good. The other part of that shot did not look good.
No.
I went on a cruise with all the mutants. I saw how most people live. I was disgusted, and I came back with COVID.
No.
So, first off, Andrew Zarian, nice eyebrows. These cruises apparently are just COVID traps. My mom went on a cruise and she got COVID. I'm gonna say everybody should not go on a cruise. It seems bad.
I went on like a good one. I don't go on the one that you know people are getting thrown off the boat. I after this one, no, I don't think so. And I did everything to eliminate people from being around me. I booked a suite with like a private access, like where the commoners can't go. Joel knows this, but Jeremy, do you know this about me? I don't like to be around large groups of people. Like the reason why I leave the wrestling shows is because it gets overwhelming. I never stay till the end because I'm like, okay, I'm done. I get too grossed out by people.
God forbid they're eating in front of you too.
I don't, Joel. You took the words right out of my mouth. I got on a flight. I got on a flight, right, to go to Florida to go on this cruise. The man in front of me ordered the meat platter. This was a 5:30 flight from New York to Fort Lauderdale. The meat platter is what he started his day with. I was enraged. I was so enraged where, you see those videos where like people are getting handcuffed and they're like screaming about the alien on the flight. Like I almost lost my mind. And as loud as I possibly could speak. And I kept saying to my wife, I'm like, you believe this effing guy? Who the F orders a meat platter 5 o'clock in the morning? He's sick. This is a sick person.
What?
And then we went on the cruise and I saw the worst of the worst.
Do you drink before a flight or anything?
I have to tell you, everybody assumes that I do. I do not like drinking on a flight.
Okay, what about before the flight?
No, too early. 5 o'clock. I always get a 6 a.m. flight. I never get like a late flight. I don't have an opportunity.
Hold on. Time doesn't exist in an airport. You know.
Yeah. No, I don't like drinking. I don't like drinking before a flight or on the flight. I will say, I flew Delta first class. They bring the champagne. You have to drink it. But that was it.
I have a tradition.
Yeah.
I have a drink before every flight. Just one. Because every time I've had a drink before a flight, nothing's gone wrong with the flight. So I'm going to continue to have my drink before the flight, and hopefully nothing goes wrong with it. It's a superstition at this point, but I do drink before every flight.
I get very morbid. I got a case of the morbs before my flight, and I tell everybody, like, if this is the last time, here, this is the password to my bank accounts. I have like 2 or 3 people that I like message that every time. I'm like, here's the password. There's a zip drive somewhere. Just break the zip drive, burn it.
So let's
like I give everybody instructions.
Let's keep the morbidosity. I don't know if that's weird, but let's keep this going. See, I think I'll be fine on flights. I don't feel like that's how I'm supposed to die. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm not supposed. No, yeah.
Like that's why I think like I'm okay to fly, because I don't feel that's going to be the end for me. I feel like the end for me is going to be very stupid. Like I'm going to like trip over something and just impale myself. I feel like it's going to be really dumb. I don't think a flight is way too grandiose for me. Like it's not going to happen.
And it's a little, to think you're going to die. I'm like, isn't that a little like, like you're thinking you're the main character a little bit? Like that's a massive way to go out, Like the odds of that happening, like the fact that you think that that's going to happen, very rare. I flew to Vegas with 2 terrible flyers. I brought 2 of my staff members to Vegas for like an event we were doing, and I've never been so angry at people's inability to fly. Like they were crying, like they were like scared, and I'm like, you're 24 years old. There's something wrong with you. I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed for you.
The first time I flew with my wife, we went to Cuba, and she's thank God has gotten better. She's not a great flyer. And there was another part of it too. So her mom is Colombian, and she grew up having to go to the airport super early because she would get pulled out of lines and put into interrogation rooms. Like there would always be holdups. So my wife, who is like of Colombian descent, but like is a white girl, she thinks that she's gonna get pulled over by security everywhere. And she's like, we have to be there 3 hours early. And I'm like, no, we don't. Trust me. And her compromise was like 90 minutes before Cuba. We didn't get pulled out of line. Everything was fine. And then we get on the plane, and she's like, as we start to take off, she's like grabbing my wrist. And I'm like, you feel my wrist? She's like, I'm not a great flyer. And I'm like, that's good to know. 5 years ago.
Everybody thinks I get pulled over through TSA.
Because of the beer?
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, do you ever have a problem at TSA? Like, do you, like, I get asked this all the time, and I kind of find it to be like a little like, I'm like, why do you think I should have a problem? Because of how I look? What are you trying to say? And so I go through TSA, no problems ever. And I look at the agent, I'm like, you don't want to pat me down? Like, you don't want to?
You're just like, no for it now.
I'm like, I can have stuff in that bag. You don't know. Just because I smiled at you. But the people that I was flying with, I flew with Chauncey Hayden of formerly the Howard Stern show. He came on the trip with us. Weird story. My wife is the godparent to his daughter. So he gets stopped everywhere. That man. Doesn't matter. Anywhere, everywhere. They took his luggage. They went through his passport. Like, they didn't understand that he's coming from Ireland, but he's in America. Like, it was a whole thing. I think they should stop me. They don't know what I have in that bag.
Yeah, but every time you want to do it, they're like, sir, this is pre-check. You're good. You've already done things.
What I did, my kids did not know I was going on this cruise. For 3 months, we kept it a secret. And I was able to get through TSA very easily. I just went and told them, I'm like, listen, my family's here. Because I took a different Uber. I'm like, my family's here. I just need to get through so they don't see me. They're like, yeah, no problem. Just push me right through. Okay. I get to the terminal, to the gate. I go to the gate agent. I'm like, listen, my family's on this flight. They don't know I'm coming. I want to surprise them. The pilot's next to me. The pilot goes, oh, no, just come on with me. I was on the flight for 45 minutes.
What you
had lied?
That good old Zarian charm. I just look and I smile. And they're like, yeah, right this way. Come right in. They put me down. I was on the flight for 45 minutes. Nobody was on it.
What do you do with that case? Being on a flight that early is the weirdest thing. Yeah, like, you pass the vibe check, the most important security measure.
It's like, this guy's just got good vibes. He's good.
It's fine. Like, I like his eyebrows. Let's just take them.
I will tell you though, do not try to give anybody a 20 at the airport. That is a big no-no. They'll let you through. Like, they'll let you through. No problem. Just smile. Do like one of those. Like, I'm a good guy, no problem. But like the second you try to slip them a 20, they freak out.
Well, that's because much like, time doesn't exist in an airport, money is basically drugs in an airport. Drugs are also drugs in an airport.
Actually, they don't care about the drugs. I'm going to tell you.
Oh, no.
Everybody's going to now try this and be like, Andrew Zarian told me that you guys don't care.
Andrew Zarian reports drugs aren't important in an airport.
Just tell them, Andrew Zarian said it's fine. Don't worry. They said it's okay.
It's going to wind
Andrew
up on
Zarian, the podcaster?
The Matt Men guy?
Andrew Zarian, the podcaster?
Someone will be like, oh, yeah, no, he's the Matt Men guy. That checks out.
Yeah.
It's exactly
Andrew Zarian, are you going to be like every true red-blooded American today and watch Kobayashi against Joey Chestnut?
I mean, who is that? What's happening today on Labor Day?
Yeah,
because Joey Chestnut is no longer with the Hot Dog Association, right? He's with a different group.
That's right.
He's part of Live
Association.
The
Saudi eating competition. Yeah.
Oh. Amazing.
Today's the first day I feel normal. Oh my God. I got to tell you about this COVID. It was the most annoying thing in the world. This was COVID number 7, I think, for me.
7?
Now that checks.
Yeah.
The Bill Russell of COVID out here.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something. Throughout the pandemic, I was one of those people that were called COVIDiots, where I went to underground clubs and bars and I was out drinking and partying the whole time. I had parties at my house. Never got it. Nobody around me got it. I got the thing in me, and then all of a sudden, I'm a magnet.
Truther?
Oh, I know. I'm a Canada truther, though. Canada's a myth, not a real place.
That is true. I'm looking out my window right now.
You want to know how he's an AI? He's not even real. His country's not real. Let me ask you, Jeremy. Can you fly to Cuba?
Can I fly to Cuba? I've never.
Yeah, can you go to Cuba? Yeah, you can't. But this AI can. See, there's a glitch.
Wait, I'm pretty sure you can go to Cuba now. The Americans can.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Open up the trade with Cuba once again.
Yeah, but I think Trump shut it down.
Oh, did he? Well,
I think so. I could be wrong. I can make that whole thing up. I can make that whole thing.
Our political comment people will figure that out.
Yeah. I just want to. It's Labor Day. Everybody's off here in the States. I want to make this a very political show.
We're off here in Canada too. It's Labor Day as well. Someone in the chat was like, "What do Canadians call what do you Canadians call Labor Day?" Where was this thing? It was.
Wait, do you really have Labor Day?
Yeah. What's Canada's version of Labor Day? Labor Day with a U.
Do you all have Labor Day? Like,
yes, it's Labor Day today. We're off today.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Today's regular Labor Day.
Wait a minute, isn't it Thanksgiving in like 2 weeks?
It is the October, I think 12th weekend. It's usually around there.
That is absurd. That is really absurd. That your Thanksgiving is in early October. We need to align Thanksgiving. Christmas is the same. Why can't Thanksgiving be the same?
Because Thanksgiving isn't a real holiday.
Thanksgiving is not a real holiday?
Thanksgiving's not a real holiday.
Some may argue with you on that point.
I mean, in Canada, it really does. It's not really a thing. It's just it's a day off.
What do y'all do for Thanksgiving?
The same things y'all do, just a month earlier, and with
watch football
history, kind of. I guess.
Can I ask you about Canadian Thanksgiving? Do you guys still? I mean, is it as like beautiful of a story as we were taught that the Pilgrims came here and they sat down with the natives and they had this beautiful dinner and nobody slaughtered anybody? Is that the story you're told?
Something Hudson's Bay Company. That's all I got for you. Do a little research, Canadian friends. Hudson's Bay Company. There's a reason they all closed. Shout out to
my God. I needed this today. Thank you for having me on.
You're always welcome here. You know that.
I hope you're feeling better, Andrew Zarian.
I do feel better. Today's the first day I feel like really good. But yeah, the cruises are disgusting.
Don't go on cruises. That just sounds awful.
I did it for the kids. The kids like it. The best part was when we got back, we had like a 10-hour time difference from the time of our flight to getting off the boat. So I just got a hotel in Fort Lauderdale for the day, and I just laid on the beach And that was the best part of the trip. No, I didn't eat any. Did I eat meat? What did I eat? I ate nothing.
Nothing.
Honestly, that's what I expect. I expect you to go to the buffet at the off hours and just hope no one's there so you can eat.
I don't eat buffets. I can't do it. I can't do it. Too gross.
Hold on. Okay. You don't like to eat around others. You don't like others eating around you. Obviously, family. I'm assuming family is a different situation.
No, everybody in their own rooms. Nobody eats in front of anybody. I don't want to see food in your mouth.
All right. Got it.
The children have to face the wall.
All right. Well, the point I'm trying to make is when they do the assigned like sitting times, what do you all do at that point?
What, like on the cruise?
On the cruises, yeah. Because like I didn't. When I worked the cruise ships, I didn't get the assigned sitting times. I go to the buffets at certain times when you're allowed to as a crew member.
I ate in the dining area, like the main dining hall with our reservations. I ate there. We did hibachi one day. I like to sit down and eat. I don't want to get my food. I don't want a buffet. I don't want food open in the air. Even like Las Vegas, like everyone's like, "Oh, the Vegas buffets, you got to go to the buffet season." I'm like, no, thank you.
I did one. I did one.
I have all these rules. Why can't I live by my rules? Why can't I live in my bizarre world?
No one's telling you can't. We're just asking questions about how you survive within them.
I also don't eat.
Yeah, I
eat one meal a day.
Big meal?
So I eat 2 meals. I have 2 eggs in the morning. That's it. And then I starve myself the entire day till about 5:30. And then all I eat is protein. That's it. No carbs.
Oh, so the guy who had all the meat is just like you, but at flipped hours.
Yeah, but I told you, I'm in a room by myself and I stare at the wall when I eat.
Do you sit at this desk that you're sitting at right now just to eat your meals? Is that what happens?
Yeah, no, it's even, I sit like in this corner here. I stand right there.
You move the title belt and you just plop yourself down right there. The titles are too shiny. They'll watch. I'll see it through the mirrors on the title belts. No.
Yeah, it's no cruising for me.
I'm only going back if I get paid because that's how I did it the first 2 times.
What did you do? You performed?
Yeah, I was a musician. I was with the party band.
Allegedly.
Oh, nice.
No, there are photos and videos. It's less alleged.
So I know you're a musician. I know, like, I don't know why. I've made up in my mind that you play like really hard metal.
So it's funny because like I like some of that music, but I never wanted to play it because it wasn't my style. But like growing up, it was like prog rock and like prog metal and power metal, which is kind of like uplifting, fast music. And by uplifting, I mean like the themes and the like Dragon Force for those who are in the chat and maybe need to know. Your wife will clue you in, Jeremy, I promise. But the music that I was playing on the ships, because it's a party band, you're playing like all the bar stuff, the wedding stuff, like that style of music. You're playing all the danceables. They want you to go and dance, or you're doing like the loungy stuff. You want all that stuff. So whatever I was like. It depends on the cruise. When I worked Alaska, it was a lot of like Beatles, Stones, Chuck Berry.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like a lot of that stuff. And then when you're working more contemporary, then you start tossing in like by the decades, it just comes down to what the age of the people are. That's smart. Thank you for changing that. The background.
Joel's getting so lazy now that we got these circles. He just abandoned all of our morals and practices because he's so intrigued and so thrown off by the circles.
That's right.
I'm trying to center myself in the circle.
It's fine.
Let the circle be unbroken.
It's taken me.
Jason asked a very important question, Joel. Did you ever perform Creep by the Smashing Pumpkins?
Did we ever find out what Billy Corgan's big announcement was?
Yeah, they announced that they're playing Creep.
He was here in Queens a couple of weeks ago.
That's unfortunate.
I think he performed here. I think it was him and Green Day.
Yeah, they did Osheaga as well in Montreal.
They were at Citi Field. The big revelation was when Billy came on my show. He told me that unfortunately for his fans, he is not a loser vampire that sits in his basement.
Debatable.
I'm like, I kind of want you to be a little macabre. I want you to be a vampire.
Yeah, why ruin it? Honestly,
I don't care for William. I want Billy.
Yeah, tell me the world is a vampire and then prove it.
Yeah, you told me the world is a vampire, dude.
Yeah,
now you're telling me it's not?
Carney Land motherfucker.
Do you know what the funniest part is? He wrote a lot of Hole's music.
I did know that, actually.
Yeah. I think he wrote Celebrity Skin and the other one in Malibu for Courtney Love. And I'm like, that's so weird. And then you listen to it, and then you got to listen to it in like Billy's voice, and you're like, oh yeah, it is him.
Can't do it. I was just asked if I listened to the new song, and I was like, absolutely not.
New song.
There's a new Smashing Pumpkins song, and I'm not listening to it. And if that's Creep 2, Electric Boogaloo.
So we collectively, the wrestling community does not care for Billy Corgan. This is what we figured out.
I think he rules. I'll never watch NWA, but I think unless they do,
you know what's wild? Do you remember when NWA came out? We were all saying collectively, "This is really freaking cool. It looks awesome." You know, Cornette on commentary before he canceled himself again. Cornette on commentary was really cool. They had a really awesome presentation. Where was the point that it fell?
When Nick Aldis decided that it was close to him and Aldis were clashing, and because the presentation was very good even before NWA Power, when they built up that Aldis and Tim Storm match, and they did the basically Road to type of show, like UFC presentation, like that was a big deal. I remember being very excited. It's like, oh, this is new and different, doing this without a television deal, essentially. And then they did Cody and all this, which was obviously a big deal, all in. And then they did the rematch at the anniversary show or whatever show they did it at. Then all this had the long run. Power, the early days of Power was good because they had good talent on the show. And then once, COVID really kind of screwed things up for them. And then all this wanted to do things a certain way, and Billy Corgan wanted to do things another way. And you're missing one of the
biggest ones?
I mean, I think I know it's people who can't be talked about.
Exactly. And I know what it is. There was someone who was implicated in speaking out, who was very much the driving force behind the creative, was rightfully removed from the business. Yeah. Again, separating art from artists, the creative was better then under that person, but that person doesn't deserve A, to have the air given, and B, doesn't deserve to have a job for what they did. So that also tanked NWA and their creativity, and therefore their popularity.
I do think Aldis had the right vision for things, though. This is based on what Aldis is saying in interviews versus what Billy's saying in interviews, but there's, I think, a little bit of truth in these things. I know people got mad at Aldis because he was like always at the top of the promotion and everything, but honestly, he should have been. Based on,
I mean, they didn't have anybody that looked like him. I mean, that guy's a stud. It is wild that he is not wrestling.
He's doing well. I
don't think he's complaining.
Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think he's complaining. But I mean, it is interesting. I mean, he's getting paid well. He's on TV, but he's not wrestling. And this is a guy that had, a lot of conversations around like,
That's the life.
That is.
He's on television. He doesn't have to take any bumps or anything. Still getting paid well.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess he hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
That's what
I get these guys want to wrestle and like, let me go out there and do my art and all this stuff. No, absolutely not. Go out there and make all the money you can without having to bump your ass off for this stuff. It's great.
I went on one of my first big wrestling rants to my son yesterday. We were just because he loves the AEW video game. Okay, I think he may be the only one left.
He's the one, yeah.
He's the one.
I'm still trying to get a copy for Switch that doesn't cost $40.
I may have a copy for no, mine is for PlayStation. I have 2 PlayStation copies.
Trade one in and send me the other one.
If you want it, I'll give you the PlayStation one.
No, I want the Switch one. I only have a Switch.
he plays it and he likes the death match, right? And you know who he always plays as? Danhausen.
Fair. You can like curse
plays
people with
as
Danhausen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the kids lost their teeth like a year ago, I ordered a cameo from Danhausen telling them that he's going to come in the middle of the night and take all their teeth, and he made it. He showed it to the kids. They were mortified. They were mortified. Yeah, so he plays it. So he was like, yesterday we were like winding down for the night. He's like, oh, I want to see some of those death matches. I went on a rant about garbage wrestling to this kid for like 15 minutes. I cut a promo about how much I hate death matches. I hate the fluorescent tubes. It is garbage wrestling. That is not an art. That is not what he should be watching. And I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing right now?
And then he just said, Dad, set up the table. That's all.
And then he was watching XPW from 2001.
That sounds awful.
The kid's finding his
You can
way.
watch XPW today. Like, that's still around. That's a thing.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. AEW Fight Forever. Switch. Still $39.99.
That's crazy.
Not happening.
That is crazy.
Y'all send me a code.
I don't think that game is bad. Okay? I don't think it's a bad game. I think it is a very simple game. And you cannot compare it to a simulation. It's an arcade style simple game. You cannot compare it to what WWE does with 2K48, whatever they're calling it now. I can't play the 2K games. It's too advanced for me.
The problem with the AEW game is just there's no depth to it. Like you play it once and then it's like, okay, that's it. Like the WWE games live on because the creation suite is insane. Like you can just put Kenny Omega. You can create a better version of Kenny Omega in the WWE game than you could play in the AEW game.
The biggest problem was the graphics. The graphics were not what people thought it would be. I think, they wanted the cartoonish graphics, but they did listen to their audience for 20 some odd years. Anybody that's played wrestling video games has been screaming, man, if only No Mercy came back. If only somebody made a No Mercy style game, and they did.
Yeah, but the creation on No Mercy was better than the creation on this game. Yeah. Like the lack of depth just completely, and it's outdated. You're playing in an arena that they haven't used for 3 years now.
Waiting for the next season.
Nah. Oh yeah, with Jason saying with PC mods you can do a bunch to it, sure, but not everybody has it on PC, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it on Switch for Christ's sake.
That's like the most outdated version.
I know. Most things on Switch are. But listen, I just bought Mega Man 1 through 6, which were NES games. I bought that for $10. You know why? Because I'm a nostalgic asshole. That's why. Because it's
what I've been playing? Vampire Survivors.
Say what? Is Billy Corgan
Vampire Survivors? You know what? He should be. That's the last pay-per-view for NWA. Vampire Survivors. It's just him. Everybody else left.
Last man standing. It's him and Father James Mitchell. Just both of them in the ring, pumping white stuff the whole time.
I don't think that cocaine spot was as bad as people made it out to be.
Neither does he. He told
us.
I
don't. I don't think. I mean, the fact that James Mitchell came off a little bit of an S trafficker is the problem. The cocaine wasn't.
I thought it was.
I think we have to get our priorities checked with that segment.
Did we?
Wacky.
It's years
Wrestling's
old.
Wacky.
You have more fun with you go to hell, Matt Cardona.
Yeah, that went nowhere. That went absolutely nowhere.
It's okay. Matt will come back once his pec is officially healed, which it is, but it's not. It's only healed in GCW. It's not officially healed in TNA.
That's because Dr. Matt Cardona can clear him in GCW, and they have actual, maybe legit doctors in TNA that are not clearing him.
Well, it depends when you were watching TNA, because the on-screen doctor that they used, it makes perfect sense that Cardona would say what he says.
By the way, you could throw me off whenever you want me to leave.
What are we going to do then? What are we going to do?
Maybe Jeremy doesn't want me here. Maybe Jeremy wants me to leave.
That's never true. Never.
No.
That's never true.
Do you want to talk about professional styles of wrestling from the weekend with us?
Yeah,
I have consumed so much wrestling, including IWF from Universal Studios this weekend.
International Wrestling Federation?
Yes, the guy that exposed wrestling, where he gigged on what was his name? God, he was the founder of the promotion. No, not the magician one. The one that went on like 2020 and then he just gigged.
Hold on. Oh,
and got blackballed.
Oh no, I thought this was BRCW. Okay, different show. Never mind.
All of this sounds terrible.
What is this thing? What is this you're talking about?
IWF.
Well, yeah, I'm aware of this. The internet has the International Weightlifting Federation.
Nope. Is it not IWF? IFW, International
Independent Wrestling Federation?
Nope, that's not it. IWF from Universal Studios.
From Universal.
Yeah. They were on from like 91 to 93. It was the first Universal Studios wrestling show.
Oh, you're watching. Okay, you're watching old stuff.
I'm watching old stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Eddie Mansfield. That's his name. Eddie Mansfield. It was his promotion.
Yeah, the Mongolian.
Terrible wrestling. It was terrible. They had a Mongolian Stomper. I don't think it was the original one.
They just couldn't call him a Mongolian Stomper.
Yeah. I watch all the wrestling, and then I watch all the bad wrestling too. I just went on YouTube and I found the worst wrestling. Like I watched that Hulk Hogan promotion from Florida.
Oh, was that the XWF that he called it? No, XWA. No,
something.
That was the Australia.
It's called it Hulkamania, brother.
What was the stupid promotion? It was the XWF, the Excitement Wrestling Promotion or Federation.
And it was like for everybody.
It's for everyone who was friends with Hulk Hogan is what it was.
Yeah, you got to see the Nasty Boys wrestle 3 times in a row.
All right. What's very funny is you and I were talking the other night. We were texting and just talking about how there's so much wrestling on, and then you're like, and now I'm watching this, and it was the old wrestling, and I'm like, well, that's comfort wrestling. That's different. Because sometimes the wrestling shows from the weekend aren't up to par with what we might want to see.
For some comfort wrestling is Brett and Shawn. Others, it's Steve Austin. For me, it's the Papa Shango poisoning Ultimate Warrior, where he's vomiting the beans all over the ring. That is my comfort wrestling.
That sounds about right. Jeremy's is anything Sid related these days.
Oh, I watch Sid and Kevin Nash from Starrcade '99.
Jeremy, you've been your Sid boner has been up for a long time.
Factual, very factual.
Yeah, and I get it. That man, what a look! My father would say that he looked like an overgrown garbage pail kid. That was his joke about him. He was just but you know what? I think in the history of wrestling, right? The storytelling of wrestling, we omitted what a maniac this man was in the ring. What a fantastic promo he was. What a great big man he was. We've omitted that because wrestling shifted. It became into the flippy floppy, got to get your spots in. I want to look at this giant blonde man, huge, just screaming at me that he's the master of the universe. How do you not like that man?
This Starrcade match, Kevin Nash, Sid, Starrcade '99, a very memorable pay-per-view as well, because that's the Brett Goldberg show as well. David Flair against Diamond Dallas Page. I was looking at the card when I was running this back the other night. What a fucking show. So I'm watching this match with the wife who's never seen it, or if she has, it's been forever. And I wanted to watch it back because I'm like, I think I remember this finish. They do this match. It's a powerbomb match, everybody.
Yes.
You can only win by hitting the powerbomb because they're both the master of the powerbomb. About 2 minutes into the match, Kevin Nash goes for a pinfall, and they just start counting the pinfall. I'm dying at this, that they've already forgotten the stipulation 2 minutes in. sorry to spoil this match. That's about 10, more than that.
20.
Shit. Yeah,
20,
that's about
25 years.
Old. Yeah, sorry, everybody. So the finish, Jeff Jarrett comes in and hits Sid with the guitar, and he's clearing the guitar to the ring, and the wife is just like, why is he doing that? It's fine. Like, it's okay if he just hits him with the guitar. And it, like, no DQ. Sid was using a chair earlier in the match. So why is he doing this? I'm cackling because I remember the finish, and I remember why he did it and why he cleared out of the ring and everything. I am just cackling, and she's looking at me like, what is going on? Nash acts like he can't do the powerbomb. His back is so hurt because he's been hit with the chair. This ref is selling getting hit in the corner from about 5 minutes ago. And finally, after 5 minutes, the ref, I think it was Slick Johnson, the ref turns around and Kevin Nash just like, I stuck him. I powerbombed him. And the ref is just like, yeah, sure. He powerbombed them. Call off the match. And that's it. That's the match. Kevin Nash never actually hit the powerbomb on Sid. Sid actually powerbombed him. But the match just ends because Kevin Nash is like, yes, I powerbombed him while you were down and out. And the match is like 6 minutes long. They counted a pinfall because they forgot the damn rules. Sid is the one who hits the powerbomb. They use chairs and guitars. And the finish is not an actual finish. It's a lie. It's a fucking lie. Kevin Nash lied to win this match. One of the greatest matches of all time. I don't care what anybody says.
Wasn't this also the pay-per-view that had Chris Benoit win the title?
Yeah, he cut a promo early in the night, and then Jeff Jarrett was no, because Brett and Goldberg was for the title, so no.
Oh, Benoit it was for the U.S. title. It was for the U.S. title. Yeah.
Trying to remember which show did you say it was? This wasn't
Starrcade 99.
Starrcade 99. I was like, it's not Spring Stampede. I know this.
No,
okay, I got the card here. This show had 13 matches.
They're all like 5 minutes long.
Okay, they're all 5 minutes long. Look, okay. One of the longer matches was the Mamalukes versus Disco Inferno and Lash LaRue.
Lash LaRue. I will tell
Dude, me too. I was a big Lash. Who doesn't love a Cajun?
Right.
Especially ones that come out and do this because they got the L shaved into their chops. Here we
go. This went 9:40, by the way, this match. This was followed by Medusa defeating Evan Courageous. Shout out to the fellow Greeks out there. Yeah. I liked Evan Courageous because he's Greek, and I have an affinity towards the Greeks.
Don't tell Tony
this. Tony Schiavone, yeah. This went 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Then it was followed by Norman Smiley defeating Meng in a hardcore match.
Hardcore title match. Remember the WCW hardcore title? Made that disgusting thing for hardcore hack.
Disgusting title. I hated the look of that. 4 minutes, 29 seconds.
Yeah, but Ming rules, and so does Norman Smiley. Yeah. This is screaming Norman Smiley, too, where everything happened. He screams
that
like
match was fantastic. Just like peak.
I don't remember the match, but for whatever reason, Norman Smiley's wearing like all the protective gear in the helmet, right?
That was his gimmick. Whenever they went to Canada, he would be wearing like goalie gear, and then whenever they were in the States, it would always be like football gear. It was hilarious.
Brilliant.
Dude got over. That's why he's got a PC job for life.
Match number 4. The Revolution. Shane Douglas, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and Asia. Oh, yeah, Asia. Asia with a Y.
Yeah, they made Asia because China existed.
China,
do you see what they did there? Yeah, they
was bigger than China.
Yeah.
We have more parody here on this show. Defeated Jim Duggan and the Varsity Club.
Hell yeah. One of the greatest stables of all time.
8-person tag match. It went 4 minutes and 53 seconds.
The best episode of Nitro ever.
As it should.
Yeah. Followed by match number 5 on this gigantic 13 card Starrcade. Vampiro with the Misfits defeated Steve Williams. 5 minutes.
Remember who was with Steve Williams? Who was with Dr. Death?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. And that was match number 6. Vampiro defeated Oklahoma.
Vampiro,
in 2 minutes.
Vampiro.
The
gimmick was if Vampiro could beat Steve Williams, he would get Vampiro, or he would get Oklahoma in a match. And it was a DQ finish too that led to the Oklahoma thing.
Okay, I don't remember this. Okay, but this is match number 7. This went long. This went 7 minutes and 52 seconds. Creative Control
Oh, hell yeah.
Gerald and Patrick. I do not remember the Harris brothers, the Harris supremacists, brothers, were named Gerald and Patrick.
Well, why were they named Gerald and Patrick, Andrew Zarian?
Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. I had no idea that this was a thing. Totally forgot this.
You bet. It was a thing. I love WCW.
Should I stop this, or you guys? Is the crowd?
No,
is the crowd? Is the live crowd?
No.
The millions and millions watching this, are they enjoying this?
Yeah.
They were accompanied by Curt Hennig, which Shane, by the way. This is when they renamed Virgil Shane.
Oh, because of the rap is crap stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
it was Gerald, Patrick, and Shane and Curt Hennig defeating Harlem Heat and Midnight. I don't remember Midnight, but it says Anne Marie Crooks is a Jamaican-born American former female bodybuilder and professional wrestler. I kind of remember what she looked like. I don't really remember her.
So she's a black woman, very dark complexion, and she was teamed up with Harlem Heat.
Super jacked. That's the description I got.
Very jacked. It was like, it's like if anyone wants, like, if you remember Linda Miles, like Linda Miles before Linda Miles, but it's not Linda Miles. If you're looking for something to compare it to, WWE.
So the match number 8, and now I'm confused. Jeff Jarrett defeated. Oh, this was the Jeff Jarrett Doom show, right? This is when he was on everything. Jeff Jarrett defeated Dustin Rhodes in a bunkhouse brawl. 11 minutes, 18 seconds.
Bless.
Look at these two, and now they're working all in 25 years later in high-profile spots.
Yeah, wild, right?
Double champion Dustin Rhodes and former WCW champion Jeff Jarrett. The man
this
who
went 11 minutes.
Danielson for the title at All Out.
He should be. I agree with that.
Can't believe they didn't pull the trigger on that one.
Match number 9. Diamond Dallas Page defeated David Flair by pinfall in a crowbar on a pole match. Okay, this is Vince Russo era.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep. You get the crowbar,
Yep.
you use the crowbar, but you still have to win the match by traditional means. I'm going to beat you up so bad that I then pin you for a 3 count. Sounds like something we just did this. Yeah, sounds like something we would have done this past weekend. So who am I to say?
Number 9. Well, we did number 9. Number 10. Sting with Elizabeth defeated Lex Luger by DQ in 5 minutes.
Oh, so we watched the end of this. We watched the end of this, and Luger puts him out, and they're like, oh, Sting might be paralyzed. He's so hurt. Like, he can't move. Do you know how they carry this man out of the ring who might be paralyzed / concussed? They got 5 guys just picking up his limp body. 2 people are holding his legs. Somebody's holding his arms. Somebody's like holding his neck. They're just letting him hang, like dangling. You know, like when you swing your kid and you might just like, that's how they're holding Sting as they're carrying him out of the ring, being like, he's paralyzed. We don't know if we're ever going to see Sting again. He can't move at all. They got no care for this man at all. They don't even bother to bring out a board or anything. It's just like, we're going to take Sting out of the ring and just toss him into the ocean. We got no use for Sting anymore.
Well, he can't be any more hurt than he is now, so you may as well just carry him as is.
Rules. Absolutely rules.
My OCD is kicking in with the centering of myself, and it's really bothersome. So I have to now reposition here. We went over this one. We got Kevin Nash and Sid in six almost 7 minutes, 6:59. We went over that one.
Any Sid match shouldn't be over 7 minutes.
Followed by Chris Benoit defeating Jeff Jarrett in a ladder match for the U.S. title. So Jeff Jarrett had 2 matches.
As he should.
3 appearances. This went 10:15, and the main event that went 12 minutes and 7 seconds. This is the longest match. Bret Hart defeated Bill Goldberg.
Allegedly.
What a pay-per-view here.
Oh, the biggest show of the year for WCW. Everybody.
The mule kick.
That was the kick. That was the kick.
Yeah. That was the infamous kick.
Yeah.
But didn't Bret wrestle for like 2 weeks after this?
Yeah, he wrestled like a cage match like the following night. And they were like, this is a bad idea.
And yet here we are, still doing it.
They tried to reform the NWO like 2 weeks later, the NWO 2000.
Yeah, the black and silver, baby.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jeff Jarrett was the lead. Who was the leader? Jeff Jarrett on that one?
Of course, Jeff Jarrett was the leader. But no egos, no leaders. It was Jeff Jarrett.
I think it was technically Brett.
No. What was his theme? Which theme did he have when he, or was it him or somebody?
Talk about Jarrett.
Cowboy.
Yeah,
was it the one when he goes, "Don't piss me off"? Is that the one? Who had the theme that it just started with "Don't piss me off"?
That's Jarrett in WWF.
Yeah,
that was him in WWF. Okay.
Yeah, the guitar shirt that said "Don't piss me off." God, what a great.
My cousins and I would, because that's one of my father's lines. We would, every time he would come out to that, we would do it in his accent, and we would just laugh and laugh. Don't piss me off.
Do every time. Strut. Oh, good stuff. You wrestled a hardcore match with Terry Funk with a concussion.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Oh my God, that was a time. That was a great time. Anyway, who's got a red light and who's got a green light?
Oh, yeah. You know, I spoke about it on Observer Live yesterday. I did not hate that match. When I realized it was a 4-corner strap match and not like an actual strap match, I was like, "Oh, here we go. This is so like WWF to do," and it wasn't bad. Did you guys not like it?
Listen, it was fine for the storytelling that they were trying to achieve. Like, my favorite part is at the end, everyone was like, "Why didn't they restart the posts every time he hit a GTS?" I was like, well, he still had the advantage. He was just, taking more advantage of the advantage he had. If McIntyre had even punched him, then they would have reset the thing. But like, no, the match itself was fine. They started it off well. They wanted to beat the shit out of each other, which was great. They go out of the ring. They do enough that it was fun. And then, they built to the crescendo of having to do the actual, like, not just the strapping, but the touch of the corners. And like, I got to give it to Punk. He gave it a way that it was going to be like, he was going to get the bracelet. He made the drama build, and he gets the bracelet and he's excited and it's fine. And then he touches the 4th corner and he's happy. He's elated. Now tonight, when Drew McIntyre comes out and he's like, "You may have beaten me, but you didn't pin me. We're just going to go back to the races and we'll do it."
Oh, that's actually, he's going to do that.
He's going to do it because this whole story is about how petty can you be, and how petty can you be? Drew McIntyre pinned CM Punk. CM Punk has not pinned Drew McIntyre. Yeah, he beat the shit out of him and touched 4 corners, but he's going to say, "Now we're going to do it again." And the world title will come into it. Seth Rollins will get involved. Drew will get involved. Punk will get involved. Like, there's enough happening. And I'm talking like going into WrestleMania. I'm saying like there's going to be enough storytelling from now until WrestleMania that we can feasibly get to Punk and Seth Rollins as a night 1 main event for WrestleMania in Las Vegas. So like, I didn't hate it. I get it. Every story is going to have dips and dives and ups and downs. This was fine. The match was fine. It deserves every single joke you make about the 4 corners stuff, because that's just what WWE is like. That's their strap match. They're not going to deviate from what they consider to be their version of a strap match. It's going to have the lights attached for a little Zabada.
I like the match. I thought it was good. I thought it was better than their SummerSlam match. It actually had the intensity that their SummerSlam match lacked. The gimmick, we talked about the gimmick. Are we the only people that knew this was a 4 corners match? We talked about it being a 4 corners match for weeks, and everybody seemed confused when it was 4 corners.
Well, Sean on his post show on like the night it was announced, he was also confused until chat was like, "No, it's 4 corners." Like, you're right. There were a lot of people who didn't realize it was 4 corners, but we were on it from the get-go.
Yeah, I knew it was 4 corners from the start. So this is what I expected, in that I knew it was going to be a little hokey in the 4 corners. The lights are funny to me. They're absolutely hilarious, because this might be a hot take for everybody. All right. Sorry if this take gets too hot. WWE does sports presentation better than any other wrestling company. And what I mean by that is, maybe, you're thinking wins and losses matter and stuff. Sports presentation is something like putting these dumb lights up in the corner so everyone knows, oh, he touched this light. A goal, you score a goal in hockey What goes off? A giant ass air horn, and the red light goes off to signify who scored a goal. That's exactly what this is. When they do the little graphics of like, this is CM Punk's first strap match since here, Drew McIntyre is 0-2 in strap matches. That sports presentation that WWE's gotten really, really good at, especially since Lee Fitting has come along. I talked about this at the WrestleMania pre-show, the kickoff show, whatever they call these dumb things nowadays. They don't want to do matches and stuff because if you're watching the Super Bowl, you don't have a game before the game. I guess the Puppy Bowl, but you don't have another football game going on before the Super Bowl. What do you have? You got 5 hours of talking and player profiles and sit down interviews and highlights. That's what WWE does. They do sports presentation. Maybe not how you're thinking, but they do sports presentation better than any company out there. And that's exactly what this is. This was sports presentation with the lights and all that stuff and the graphics that they use. I thought it was well done. The match was fine. The gimmick, it's tough to overcome because the gimmick is what it is. But I thought they did well and that it was very definitive. This wasn't Punk backdoors his way into touching four corners or Drew backdoors his way into touching four corners. This was, now Punk laid this man out, incapacitated him, touch all the four corners, and then got his bracelet back, or he got the bracelet back first and then touched the four corners. I thought it was fine. I thought it was actually more than fine. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
The show itself was solid. Like, again, this wasn't a huge newsworthy show, Bash in Berlin, but it was largely enjoyable. I did not watch it live. I was making sauce with Nona. That was yeah. That's a thing that happens. Yeah.
You do Nona sauce now? Yeah. You're in my world.
I have to be. Jeff Jarrett over here, my world. My wife, her mother married an Italian man, and Nona is still with us, and we still do the sauce, and we bring the kid. Oh, that's fun. You ever try to keep a kid away from a giant hot stove? It's right at his eye level, and all he wants to do is look in. That's frightening. That's not fun. Anyway, we did that.
Once they touch it, they won't do it again.
Well, you think so, but kids are dumb.
Factual.
Kids are not the brightest. My kid is very smart. How dare you? No, he does some dumb shit. Anyway, yeah, Bash in Berlin was a solid show. It was, like I said, it was on the level of what you'd expect. Gunther and Randy Orton delivered. They were a fun match. My favorite part was Randy basically saying to Gunther, no chops. And Gunther being like, but, and Randy saying, no chops. And that's how they went through the match, was with very little to no chops. It's solid. Good stuff. Gunther just solidified his title reign a little bit more by beating a legend. And someone had pointed out, 10 years ago, Randy held both titles. He pointed out that was the whole build. And Gunther was just getting started 10 years ago. Things are different now. This was a good match. Solid outcome. Nothing really shocked me there. And Jeremy, like I told you on Friday and leading up to it, Ludwig Kaiser challenged for the U.S. title on SmackDown. Told you he'd have his moment. He got it.
He lost.
He's so lost. Giant loser, Ludwig Kaiser. Till he got to come out and introduce his best buddy. And then give him a fist bump. Be like, you got this, bro. But yeah, show was fine. New tag champs. That's the thing. They subscribe to the TNA. One title is going to change hands on all of these special events. That's just the way WWE works now. When they go overseas, they're like, we're going to give you one, but everything else is just on the level. It's just going to be fun matches. And they did it. They changed the women's tag titles. They went back to Cargill and Belair, and that's great. Now they got to tell that story again. Whatever that is, because it's the women's tag titles, and they haven't really done.
They got a big celebration tonight.
Yeah, and I'm sure Casey and Caden are going to come back, and then I'm sure the other ones are going to come back too. The pure fusion.
No, they got a number one contenders match against Alba and Isla against Io and Kyrie. So
great, and I'm sure Casey and Caden will come back, and it'll become a 4-way or something.
Why would they do that?
Because Casey and Caden got laid out by PFC. PF Chang's. I'm hungry. I had waffles for breakfast. I don't know about y'all.
I had one egg.
Yeah, I thought you had 2 eggs every morning.
No, I had one this morning. And by the way, they were heirloom eggs. They were heirloom eggs, and they were delicious.
What does that mean? Heirloom.
They're
passed
fancy
down
eggs.
generation to
Yeah,
generation.
generation to generation. They pass down. Yeah, heirloom eggs.
Why didn't
Can't
you
believe
keep
you
them
just
for your
cracked it open
children?
and ate it like that.
Yeah, my wife has become a crunchy mom, and we have like everything has to be a very specific farm we get our meat from and our eggs from. I don't know if I told you this. Like everything, the eggs have to come from a specific farm. The meat, the chicken. We were getting it from the Amish for a little bit, and then we decided that we didn't like how they were treating the animals, so we went to a different farm. It's a whole thing. We can't just walk into like Food Town and buy groceries anymore. Forget about the produce. The produce has to come from specific places.
Are you sure you're not a Jew?
I mean, her name is Jessica. Her name is Jessica.
Yeah.
You know,
I say this, by the way, I say this as a Jew myself. I don't want people thinking I'm being anti-Semitic.
Sure? Yeah, Joel. What an accusation. What a threatening question. Are you sure you're not? My mother did tell me in her past life, though, she was Jewish. She was an Israeli girl that was drowned. I've told you this privately.
Don't go anywhere further with that statement, please.
Yeah. This just gives you a little glimpse into my reality of my childhood. My mother would tell me all the time that in her past life, she was a little Jewish girl living in Israel, and she was drowned in the Mediterranean or the Dead Sea.
Pretty sure that was almost the story of Moses. Anyway,
I think that is. Yeah, no. He almost drowned. Almost
found him in the basket. Did the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good stuff. By the way, Justified, you sold out chat from Louis for Main Channel Monday. You can donate a super chat any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. We appreciate that. And Gregory Alvarado is a YouTube member. Thank you. For some reason, it came up twice. So thank you for your double membership. Maybe you have two accounts and you put both accounts under the membership, which honestly, great. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Where are we going? Is there anything else from Berlin that we want to talk about?
Cody and Kevin Owens and how Cody won and Kevin Owens is a coward.
Coward.
Can I give you a hot take?
Yes.
I didn't love that match.
Wow.
That's a hot take.
I didn't love it.
Go after you.
What was wrong with it, Andrew Zarian?
I was bored.
Really?
You know what match I was not bored with? Gunther and Randy Orton. I love that match.
But the crowd was equally hot for both. The story, I understand maybe the storytelling was a little different for Cody and KO versus Gunther versus Randy. Like I understand that, but what kept you from enjoying it?
I don't know. I didn't. It was fine. It was fine. It was a fine match. It wasn't. It did nothing for me though.
I mean,
I think the build. Yeah, I don't like. I really never like the I'm a babyface, you're a babyface. I'm giving this to you because you worked hard. I never like those matches because you've already told me like, oh, this is just like a throwaway. This is a favor. You've never had the person win that I look like a jerk, you know, like as the person was like, oh yeah, you know what? I'll throw you a bone to get you on this pay-per-view. That person never loses those matches. Like there was no believability. Like Randy, even though I knew Gunther wasn't losing, they kept telling us like, oh, Randy's could become a 15-time champion. Then he's one win away. You know, they kept saying that. You know, John Cena's coming back. John Cena has 16 championships. Randy has 14. He could win, you know, he could get one closer. They kind of made it feel like, okay, maybe there's a possibility. I felt nothing with the Kevin Owens thing.
So what you're saying
Zero.
is Cody is a flop as a champion, and they should get the title off of him, get it back on the Tribal Chief. Where's the one? Get the one in there. Get it back on the Tribal Chief.
Hey, how do the fireworks look when you do the circle to gimmick?
I don't know if it'll like pick up because it's so in close. Oh,
wow.
Wow, look at that.
Better.
That's actually pretty good, actually.
All right.
Look at that.
Good stuff. Oh,
Zarian making it
Zarian's
rain.
crying. He's crying. I'm sorry, buddy.
Hold on. Here we go. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
I'm not using a Mac.
Your ECW hardcore sign is going into business for itself and not doing any of the fireworks.
as one does. The KO thing. Listen, the big takeaway for me was that KO was reading awful news reports. He's getting it wrong. Why isn't he reading Fightful Select? Talking about Cody having a bum leg. We never reported that. I don't know who did.
I did because he says on Friday, "Oh, your knees hurt, your knees hurt, your knees hurt." And then he doesn't go after the knee outside of the one time where he kicked his leg out of his leg on the outside, but he didn't go after his knee. I liked commentary saying Kevin said that to make Cody think he was going to go after his leg. So now Cody's protecting his leg, but Kevin's actually focusing on his ribs and his chest area. I like that little pickup by commentary because I was wondering myself, was like, why isn't he going after his legs here? Like, why wouldn't you go after that? And then commentary covered it well.
Now, do you think that that's going to turn into KO when he does turn heel? He's going to immediately target the leg. Is that where it's going?
I don't know how quickly he's turning heel is the only thing. He should, by the way. They need really good heels.
That's
who should go heel? Who'd you say Kevin Owens should go heel?
Yeah.
And I've been going between Kevin and Randy for obvious reasons. With Randy, there's the story is there, it's built in. And Randy's just in ways he's a better heel, but right now he has just that return and that nostalgia pop that keeps coming up. Maybe you just want to keep that going. But Kevin, he's a great heel too, but he's also a really entertaining face in that he calls shit out in terms of canon and storyline. Like, he's good at being kind of a meta baby face that's not overtly meta, so it works for him. But when he's a heel, he's the best piece of garbage human being in the world. So I'm on this I'm going back and forth. I vacillate between the two.
They need one of them to go heel. I imagine one of them will go heel before the end of the year because that's the reason why Kevin Owens got this title match, because you look at that SmackDown roster and it's like, well, okay, well, who's a good heel for Cody to face? And it's like, let's run back Solo Sikoa. That's what's next, apparently.
That's what's next. And I mean, okay. Why? But, they are doing a good job at protecting Jacob Fatu.
I mean, that's the guy right there.
That's the guy. That's everybody. That's the. You know what match I want to see, and nobody's talking about it? Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu. That's the match.
Well, they're apart right now, and the storyline right now is Fatu in the bloodline and Roman. Once things kind of break out, absolutely, that would be a fantastic match to watch. I want to see Bronson Reed, Tsunami, Jacob Fatu. And then
they're doing a good job with Bronson on Raw, building him.
Yeah,
they're a little bit cleaner on Raw when it comes to heels, but they got a heel champion, so it's a little bit easier because they have good baby faces to feed Gunther right now.
Do you think some of the focus has shifted to Raw more?
Yes, but in 2 weeks, it's going to focus back to SmackDown for a little bit.
Yeah, and then they go to Netflix on 1/6, which that's a choice that date.
I mean,
it's just the first Monday of the year.
The first Monday. I know.
They can't plan for that.
Yeah,
Cody has to open it up.
It's like having a show on September 11th. Sometimes things just happen there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Dynamite. Oh no, Dynamite is on the it's an 11th. It's just dates are dates sometimes. But anyway, it'll be January 6th is the Netflix debut. Cody Rhodes did reveal that during his Triple H post-show press conference.
I mean, they have to go balls to the wall, right? They have to
Cena's gonna
bleed everywhere.
Yeah, they're gonna have a big show.
Is that
a scoop? Big show?
I said not with Paul White.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
But John
Cena, that Netflix documentary.
No, that's a big no thank you on this show.
I'm gonna watch it. I mean,
well, I'm talking about
fascinating.
Yeah.
One way or another.
I'm very curious, and people are acting like, oh, this is going to be an expose. My expectation is this is going to be none of that, and it's going to be it'll probably lean into him being aggressive and a madman, but in more of well, that's just Vince. I don't think they're going to go into anything. And why would Netflix do that? You potentially have a 15-year asset on your brand, because that deal could eventually become 15 years if the extension gets taken. You're not going to expose the horribleness of everything that's happened in that company. I just don't see it happening. With Bill Simmons producing it, I don't see it happening at all.
I think it'll be very tame compared to what people want. Like, I think it'll be good in like the information that they talk about and the way it is presented and put together. But I do think people will want talk about this allegation and talk about this allegation and talk about this lawsuit. And you're probably not going to get any of that. You're probably just going to get kind of what you said, Zarian, of Vince is a madman behind the scenes. Look at all the stuff he did, but wrestling wouldn't exist without him.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna watch it. You know, I would be shocked if they go into details. That would be shocking. Like, there's a lot of people thinking this is going to be coming out like people are going to sit down and it's going to be like a shoot interview. You know, like I don't see it being that. I think it's going to be very polished with WWE wrestlers talking about, you know, the good times and the bad times. You know, Montreal, you know, he screwed Brett.
I think you're going to get an honest look, as honest as they're going to be in the world of professional wrestling, an honest look at the things they cover. But I don't think you're going to get certain things covered that you might want. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to talk too much about it because we'll see when it comes out. We'll see what the delivery is going to be like.
We'll see.
It's on the thumbnail, so I want to touch on it before we move off to the next things. But Punk and Drew, is this the Hell in a Cell match, presumably at Bad Blood? Is this worthy of a Hell in a Cell match? Do we go that far, especially now that CM Punk has said, now I want that world title and my eyes are on whoever won the world title match at Berlin? Obviously, Gunther did. Is this something worth doing? Going into a Bad Blood pay-per-view and doing it in a Hell in a Cell with those two?
It's worthy. I mean, the story is there. I don't think that can honestly be argued that it's not worthy of Hell in a Cell. Like, can you think of another actual blood feud with this stuff? I think the issue becomes, I don't know if it's necessary after this strap match. Like, that was a pretty definitive win by Punk. I know, Joel, you mentioned of like, oh, well, it didn't pin him. So that's what Drew can say is like, oh, you never pinned me 1, 2, 3. Yeah, but he beat you down enough to where he touched 4 corners. Like, that's just as, it's not the visual of the pinfall that I know we've come to learn from professional wrestling, but like getting incapacitated to the point where a dude touches 4 corners is the same as getting incapacitated of like a last man standing match. Like, you were down for a 10 count, which is more than a 3 count.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's necessary, but I definitely think it's worthy if that's the way they decide to go with it.
You also have to remember they're 1-1, right? Drew won the first match. Punk has won the second. I do agree with you, by the way. Punk incapacitated his opponent. Drew McIntyre was out. He lost the match. Do you do it again? Again, you come out and you say, you didn't pin me, so now you got to do petty, and then you go to it. And if they put a little stake on it and they say the winner gets #1 contendership.
What kind of stake?
Pardon?
What kind of steak?
Oh, Omaha. Omaha steak. The only stakes that matter in the pro wrestling podcasting world.
I was like a ribeye, T-bone. You know?
I mean, I would like an A5 Wagyu A5 if I could. Put a little pizzazz on that and make it nice. But with those,
how do you take your steak, Joel?
Medium rare.
How about you?
Yeah, perfect. Medium rare. I have a T-bone right now. I did a dry rub. It's in the fridge from yesterday. I'm grilling it today.
Nice.
I'll be having
medium
steaks.
rare.
I'll be having steaks on Sunday. That'll be fun. Okay. Yeah, my brother's getting married.
Oh, nice.
It's a second wedding. You know how it is. He's so you know how it goes. There will be no John Cena theme, but maybe there will. Maybe I'll control the music for a little bit. But you put those two in a Hell in a Cell, and you can easily make the winner the #1 contender. On the other hand, you were mentioning what other matches would work. Man, they might find a way to do it for Cody and Solo just to give it that extra. The bloodline interferes and they get in the cage, and then Roman saves and they do the Cody again. I don't want that personally. I would rather they do Punk and Drew and let that be the blow off because they're 1-1, and let the winner get a world title match, maybe as early as the not January 6th Netflix, because that's a while off, but somewhere down the line. And then eventually, like I said, Seth comes back, Gunther's there. The four of them are going to be somewhere working to get to the Mania main event.
Put Rhea and Dom in Hell in a Cell. That's what it should be. Not
Oh
Rhea
my
and
God,
Liv.
that's the match.
Not Rhea and Liv. Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, Hell in a Cell.
Damien stands at the door.
Yeah, just
keeps
the
everyone
bouncer. He's a bouncer in a previous life, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Put him in a hot tub in front of the door.
I don't know about that. You gotta like get out, and you might slip around and stuff. Just put him in front of the door, and he's the bouncer for this thing.
Put us in a hot tub in front of the door, with Damian Priest in front of the door, and it's us in the hot tub interviewing Damian Priest live as the match is going on.
I don't know about this.
People
sound great, Joel.
Yuck, too, huh?
Who's gonna get angry about Rhea and Dominic? That was the biggest pop of the night at Bash in Berlin. That was when they put that stupid little meter on there. Again, sports presentation. That's straight out of just sports presentation right there. They've been doing this for a few shows now. They put that meter on there. That was the biggest pop outside of maybe like Orton's theme and everybody singing that. But the crowd went crazy when Rhea beat the shit out of Dom and choked him with her legs. Crowd went crazy on that. She still hadn't hit the riptide on him either. They're gonna go crazy for that too.
And like both have said, I'm good. Let's do it. You know, obviously because who doesn't like money? So, you know, Dom's like, I don't know if they do it, but I'd like to do it. And Rhea's like, hell yeah, let's do it, brother. So listen, if they can do it, I'd love the idea of it. I feel like if they do try to book it, it'll end with someone getting involved and, you know, mishmash, nothing happens. I'd still like to see the match. And I'm sure they'd make it work in a way that works for WWE style.
Dom doesn't have to do like strikes or anything. You can just do wrestling moves, do some suplexes, hit a frog splash, run away. Like you can do it in a way that is not, I don't know the right term, but in a way that makes intergender wrestling where people are not like, oh, look at this man beating up a woman.
Really what it is just to be blunt, it's striking. That's part of wrestling matches. If he evades any striking and Rhea gets all the striking in, then it's seen better than the other way around, or if it's even whatever it is. And if that's the way that they're worried about it looking bad, then yeah, there are ways to work around that. Like everything you just said, Jeremy, he can evade, he can duck under, he can do the wrestling moves, he can do a frog splash. Liv can get involved when the referee is down and she can do the strike, whatever. There's a way to make it work. If WWE wants to keep it
also
to their style.
The real way to make it work is you put them, Rhea Dom, Hell in a Cell, and Rhea just kicks the shit out of them for 3 minutes and wins, and Dom doesn't get anything in there.
No cage needed. We just did it for the laugh. We just wanted to test the equipment, make sure it goes up and down okay.
And Louis got it right. Basically, I say Dom should run for 3 minutes and lose in 5. Exactly. Perfect. Just Rhea kicks the shit out of him and wins. Dom doesn't get anything in.
I'm all for it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they do. I mean, it feels like a Hell in a Cell match is on the horizon for all the reasons we talked about at Bad Blood. It just comes down to who is going to be in it. I would just book the one Hell in a Cell match on the show. I don't see a need to do more than do more than one. I don't think you need to do Rhea and Liv in Hell in a Cell. I understand why people want it, but I just keep it at one. Make this the one time. This isn't the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This is just a Hell in a Cell because there's there's a historical reasoning for it. I don't know if Zarian, you have anything to add about all that. You're muted.
Thank you. My dog's been barking.
I'm curious.
Yeah. I'm curious who Gunther is going to face for that world title now.
Seth Rollins. No, I don't know.
Yeah, but Seth is out, and it looks like it's Seth and Bronson Reed.
Could do Sammy. Have Sammy come back.
You could have Sammy come back.
Beat him. Yeah, Sammy beat him at WrestleMania. Get that kind of. Sammy's always over too.
Just depends whether or not he's okay, like whether or not he's healed up enough to come back, because he was doing the stem cell treatments.
I'll tell you who he should
Sammy?
face.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who he should face, and I'll tell you who should beat him.
Oh yeah, he's around.
Man.
Yeah, he's around.
Eventually, he's got to get a win, like a major win, right?
Yeah, I just told you he should win.
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's like I'm kind of agreeing, but also like it's amazing. And this is again going back to the Rikishi podcast. How every week Rikishi gets on his podcast and says they're booking my boy wrong. He should be the champ. And then Jay's like, "Shut up! I'm making so much money. Shut up!" And then, like we kind of see it. We see it as this way of like he doesn't need to win, and Jay gets it. Jay understands what is working right now. He's getting built to lose. It's working for now. Until it doesn't, then he can get the big win. Let him be a big old merch moving loser.
And look, Punk said he's next. Now, whether or not that prophecy becomes true, we shall find out maybe as early as tonight. But Punk said he's going after the title. I hope he's just trying to shoot himself into a work here of like, I'm going after the belt. Nobody told me otherwise. So now you got to make this happen. Maybe they do kind of a triple threat type of thing for the next show at Bad Blood. Maybe they do Gunther, Punk, and Drew. And that's how you continue Drew and Punk without them doing the next singles match. You get Gunther involved.
Yeah, it's possible.
JBL's on a world tour.
Love that.
What we're talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
I want to talk about JBL because I do want to talk about this insane TNA show for 5 minutes. Josh Alexander did not win the Iron Man match. The one title match that did have a new winner was Zachary Wentz capturing the X Division Championship. For those who watch No Mercy, that happened. He had the title with him. That's nice. JBL comes out at the end of the Nick Nemeth victory at the end of the hour, and he just kind of whispers something and walks away. Jables was in Nick's corner at Triple Mania, and they made reference to it in commentary, and I'm sitting there being like, Jesus Christ, no. And then JBL's been on this world tour where he's shown up everywhere. Showed up in OVW the next night, which is in Kentucky to Louisville. It's all the same. But like he's shown up in GCW. He's showing up everywhere. The man is like, and he's always wearing the same clothes, which is even weirder to me. I thought JBL was rich. What happened?
He does his laundry. It's cool.
Okay, just making sure. Glad you know. I don't. I'm nervous as to what this means if they're referencing Mexico, JBL, and Nick Nemeth, because the other side of that match is someone that I do not want to see anywhere near TNA ever again. And on top of that, you're doing Nick Nemeth versus Moose. And this is all going to play into a much larger conversation with No Mercy and Joe Hendry in a second. But I'm curious about reactions when you saw Jables walk out onto the stage at Emergence. Zarian, did you see this?
I did see him come out. I'm very curious what he does. Is he going to wrestle? Where is he going to wrestle? Does he show up in AEW? I highly doubt that.
I think
it's all WWE adjacent.
I think he said he's not going to wrestle. He's just making appearances.
You're just making appearances. All right. I mean, that's cool. He just stands there and clotheslines people and leaves. All right.
That's his new shirt. Stand up, clothesline, leave.
That's it. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because the TNA stuff, it's amazing how they have survived everything, and they're hot again. You know, to TNA standards, they're hot again. People are talking about them. This is a promotion that nobody was speaking about. They were putting on great pay-per-views and great shows for a number of years, and nobody was talking about it until all of a sudden now it's a thing. And that's great. I think it's more places for people to work. I think JBL being there brings attention to it, and that's a positive.
Does it bring attention to it?
I don't know. I mean, according to my Twitter timeline, TNA is back and AEW is terrible. So
Who the hell are you following?
Yeah, really.
The worst. Well, it's not who I'm following. It's the For You page.
No,
Get off of that thing right now.
I know. It's the worst. It really is. It's the worst takes. My entire timeline is filled with the worst political takes on every side, anti AEW content, and pedophiles getting beat up by the pedophile hunters. I mean, that's. Have you seen those videos?
Let's not go there right now.
Yeah.
It's the most insane thing.
Save it for
no. It's not. It's like this the Chris Hansen style where they find them, like they lure them and then they beat them up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is where we're at now. Yeah, this is the real thing. This is where we're at. So anyway,
JBL.
Yeah.
Mama Juana comes out here. Remember that energy drink he had?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's called Mama Juana Energy. Everyone was all
really?
Over it.
What?
Look it up, Mama Juana. And it sounds like marijuana, but it's Mama Juana.
I don't want to do that at all. So the JBL stuff is something. I guess he's technically a heel in AAA because he was opposing the other guy in Conan, and Nemeth was maybe a heel, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's just the shades of gray. He was a heel in GCW. He helped Mance. Mance is a heel. A babyface kind of in TNA because he comes out and whispers something to Nemeth, who's a babyface, and Nemeth seemed to be on board with it. Do you think there's an actual...
He's a heel in Mexico, here? Right?
Yeah. I think so. Maybe. But do you think there's an actual plan here, or it's just JBL was like, hey, what if I come in and just look like I'm trying to do Undertaker cosplay and I just do a bunch of whispers and you get some buzz off of it? I don't know if there's an actual plan here. I hope there is, but I'm not positive that there is.
I don't think there is.
I don't know what they're doing. And this is the frustrating part about being the guy who covers TNA. We talked about it on the post show, and now I do this to kind of bring on the real subject, and that's Joe Hendry. So Hendry had a pretty amazing weekend in terms of performance and entertainment. He had the 8-man tag at Emergence. He lost at No Mercy. He won at Emergence. He lost at Emergence, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost at Emergence.
He's a big old loser, that Joe Hendry.
Yeah, he lost.
He did. I was just thinking, we said he would lose with the Hardys getting pinned. Anyway, he did the entrance with the Hardys, people like that. And then everyone sang his theme, 2 nights later at No Mercy, which was great. And he had the main event, and he lost to Ethan Page. He's a big old loser. No Josh Alexander interference. No Josh Alexander.
Tweet
title.
By Josh Alexander afterwards, though.
And apparently, he comes out during the tapings. They're going to reignite the Alexander Hendry story. So, spoiler alert. I'm sorry I'm too late, but you knew it was coming. My biggest concern here is Joe Hendry is the weirdest case right now for TNA and for WWE. They clearly like Joe Hendry in both places, but they clearly have no idea where Joe slots in or what they want to do with him. Because in WWE, they love to have him and make him a big star and give him everything and do all this stuff. But he's not signed to them, and he can't exclusively be signed to them because he's still under TNA contract, and they don't seem to be wanting to give that up just yet. So Hendry comes in, makes an impact, but can't win a major singles title, but he can have entertaining segments. Great. Okay, get you over on TV. Meanwhile, in TNA, Page isn't going for the TNA World title. They've told you that Santana has next, and they're doing Moose versus Nemeth. And I was like, man, they got to get Hendry a world title win at Bound for Glory, which is their biggest show of the year. But meanwhile, it feels like they might have Moose win at Victory Road in 2 weeks and then go into Bound for Glory with the title and drop it to Santana because Santana's been on the warpath against the system, and that's how they're going to get there. What the fuck does Joe Hendry do between now and then? Joe Hendry he's sitting around singing songs, and it's very frustrating because Jeremy, you and I talked about this going into going to Slammiversary, how he should win the title. And I was against it at the time. I'm still against having done it at Slammiversary. but it feels like both companies don't know what to do with him, even though fans are so behind him, because long-term, they have no idea where they are with him. It's very weird to me. That's how it looks. Can't tell you how it is because I'm not reporting anything. It's just the way that it feels to me.
Joe Hendry can fight Bully Ray. Maybe Joe Hendry against JBL is where all of this leads.
Oh my God.
That's what I need in my life.
What if that's it? What if that's the plan? Joe Hendry, JBL. That's what we're going with.
I mean, he would love that because that just puts him on the radar even further. Yeah. Zarian, I know you got to run. Go. Do you want to plug anything before you head out?
Yeah. Beyond the Bell tomorrow. I'm doing it 10 a.m. again, early.
Oh wow.
He's back, baby.
I'm back, baby.
He's going to talk about his cruise for 20 minutes, and he's going to fan himself the whole way through.
I got this at the U.S. Open.
Nice. That's right. With your gams out. You had your thighs out and everything.
Did you like that photo?
You saw what I posted. You bet I did. I mean,
who wears short shorts? I wear short shorts.
I hear you. Go wear your
5-inch inseam. 5-inch inseam, guys.
Do they charge more or less for the 7-inch inseam?
Oh no, less. I'm almost at Daisy Duke's level.
But the fans get so much more.
Good night.
Bye, Zarian. Enjoy your steaks today.
He's with us for the first hour and a half of the show. He's making up for lost time. God bless.
Yeah, really.
But he told me he would show up, but I didn't think he was going to hang around as much. Anyway, Joe Hendry's a big old loser and can't get anything with it. What are we doing?
The JBL might be the play. I don't know. I thought they should have put the title on him at Slammiversary. You know, in hindsight, I still think it's the right call. Maybe he would have done something different on NXT at that point, because clearly they're okay with having a TNA champion beat an NXT talent on an NXT show. So I'm not saying Joe, go ahead.
So, okay. I want people to understand what I'm saying. WWE doesn't see him as Zachary Wentz. They see him as Nash Carter. They don't consider him TNA. They're very much like, oh, he's one of us. It's almost like he's not really TNA. He's one of us. That's kind of how I read it.
Okay, but he still won the match. I don't care how they see him. Yeah. He's the TNA X Division champion. He's signed to TNA, and he beat Wesley, who signed to NXT. If they view him as NXT, then fine. But the reality is he's the TNA X Division champion. If Joe Hendry was the world champion in TNA, I don't think they would have had Ethan Page against Joe Hendry as the main event. But at that same token, they had Roxanne and Jordan when Jordan is still the Knockouts champion and Jordan lost and it was fine. I think maybe you would have seen a Josh Alexander interference the same way we had Ash by Elegance kind of come out during the Jordan and Roxanne match. But I would have put the title on Joe Hendry back at Slammiversary. And they could have done the exact same stuff they've been doing. And they could have done the same match last night as well. Of Joe Hendry could have lost, but he would have been fine because Ethan Page kicked him in the dick. Joe Hendry got the visual, but Ethan Page's foot was underneath the ropes. Ethan Page had to kind of cheat to win, DDT on the title, kick to the dick, and then beat him. Joe Hendry would have been fine off of that and still been the TNA champion. And it would have probably, and when you couple that with Zachary Wentz winning and beating Wes Lee, that would have been a good night for TNA. It was still a good night for TNA, mind you, because they had one of their guys in the main event. They had Wentz pick up a pretty big victory over Lee. So I don't know what they're doing with Joe Hendry and TNA, though. I was a little surprised they lost that match to the system. Like,
I wasn't. And Cresta and I talked about it when we gave predictions the night before. And I said the system have to get back on track because they've been rudderless since they dropped all the titles, and it felt like they were trying to motivate Moose again. So of course that's what happens by the end of the show is they make Moose versus Nemeth. Yeah, it made sense to me. I didn't love it, but it was like, the system's just gonna win. That's it. And they're gonna pin one of the Hardys because the Hardys are largely inconsequential when it comes to TNA. They're almost, infallible.
They didn't have to give TNA a win just because Wentz is the champ. I said it when Wentz won. I was like, I don't know if I would have undercut Mike Bailey's run at a month after you built up Ali for this big winning streak, and then Bailey beat him in his hometown, big win, and then you're just having Mike Bailey lose in a month for Wentz. And this is no knock on Zachary Wentz. I was just a little surprised by that decision because I think most of us did suspect, oh, well, you're just going to have your X Division champion lose to Wes Lee at No Mercy. Instead, Wentz won. So now I'm like, you know what? This was the right call. Yeah, it still undercut Mike Bailey. And I don't think that's the best look in the world. But they got that X Division title on NXT programming, and they got Wentz winning on NXT beating one of their guys too. They put a lot of stock in Wes Lee. I know he's been out with the injury, but before that, he was a North American champion. Even coming back, he's been in a high profile spot. And now we're gonna get the Rascals on Tuesday's show. They're wrestling in the number one contenders match. I'm like, you know what? It was probably the right move to put the X Division title on Wentz.
And it also just makes more sense to do it given the way that they played everything out. Like you said, the tag title opportunity, just the tag title number one contenders match. Hendry, after the bell, never saw him again. You saw him in the backstage thing that WWE digital posted. But other than that, I was like, once I saw that there was no Joe Hendry shot to be found, I was like, oh, Josh Alexander's not coming out. Like this is they're going to do Pete Dunne.
Attack.
And that was the thing. I was like, oh, okay, fine. Pete Dunne and Trick Williams have a match on Tuesday. It's going to be a good thing, and it's probably going to motivate something for Halloween Havoc. I still feel like it's going to be Ethan Page versus Trick Williams at Halloween Havoc for the title. Maybe that'll be the recapturing of the title. Feels that way. Maybe you're wrong.
Yeah, but they got the premiere show. Ethan Page is defending the title. But feels like they might want to do a title change there.
Maybe maybe. I feel like they might just do Pete Dunne and Ethan Page.
I would do heel and heel. That sounds terrible. Like both guys are good. I'm not saying it'll be a bad match or anything, but like the build going into that, Ethan Page, Pete Dunne, I don't know about that. I would, if you're gonna do a main roster guy, one, it should be a baby face, and two, probably someone a little higher on the card than Pete Dunne. They've done well with Pete Dunne. Like he's been in decent positions. He's in this number one contenders tournament. And so he's in a good spot with this thing for the Intercontinental title. He's in a good spot for this thing, but like feels like you can get somebody a little bit bigger than Pete Dunne and get a baby face, not a heel.
Yeah, that's fair. When we're thinking about the CW premiere.
What if it's Punk? Ethan Page and Punk.
They might do it because it pops a rating. Other people have joked like, what if it's Pete Dunne versus CM Punk? And it's like, yeah, that's two main roster guys. They could do that. Just motivate that. And then what they do, Punk 1 week versus Ethan Page, and then Randy Orton the next week against Ethan Page. Page has to beat both of them, and both of those men are like, what are we doing?
DQ finish both times.
That's a great way to start the show. It's okay. CW has a lot of failing wrestling on their show right now, so it's fine. They're looking for a winner. This will be one of them. But yeah, I mean, No Mercy last night, just like TNA Emergence, were two like fine shows. I don't think actually, you know what, Emergence wasn't that great. Ultimate X was fun, but yeah, shifting back, No Mercy. Good night. Ended by 9:45 Eastern. That's always nice. I like that they're continuing that. They did that at Heatwave, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get home by 10 o'clock. That was a good feeling. But yeah, the show itself was fine. No big surprises, just other than maybe the Wentz victory. I don't know if you have any thoughts on No Mercy, because you watched, and so did I, watched a lot of wrestling this weekend. And I'm glad that we had a lot of non-wrestling talk this morning too.
Watched too much wrestling this weekend. Julia debuted at No Mercy. I think that was the biggest kind of takeaway from No Mercy. I'm looking forward to Julia. Julia just comes in there and kicks the shit out of people. That's my kind of wrestling. Just go in there and lay it in and look like you're killing these people. It's good stuff. Her and Roxanne's going to be really fun. Vacker will come in soon. Delta will come in soon. But Julia coming in, it's going to be a lot of fun. And her and Roxanne. That, I don't know if you go Halloween Havoc. Maybe I don't think it's too early. You got to get Julia on television wrestling a match, though. I'd put her on that CW premiere. I'd have her win a big match on that CW premiere. And then that sets up the Halloween Havoc match against Roxanne.
You know what I would like to see? Julia versus Thea Hale.
Well, then Julia's taking a loss.
I know. Sentient cocaine beating Julia. That's what I need in my life. Listen, Julia's got to learn to work the style. They got to break her down and build her back up. This is the PC we're talking about. We're doing it right. Thea Hale beats Julia first night in. I'm all for it. We're going to do it.
I don't think Roxanne's going to move up to the main roster just yet because you're getting Vacker and Julia and Delta coming in. And I think Roxanne is a good person to have with them, to work with them on and off screen. I don't know if they're even more experienced than Roxanne. Roxanne's been wrestling since she was like 12 or something. Like she's been television wrestling for a while now. So I think she would be good to still have down there because the rest of not every single woman in NXT, but a lot of them are the athletic background girls. They're not independent background girls. And that's obviously kind of what Vacker, these are well-traveled, not necessarily American independents, but overseas independents and things of that nature. So having Roxanne have that similar background will probably be good to start off with before Roxanne eventually goes up. It feels like Roxanne's probably going up next year. Like she works out the rest of this year, is in the Rumble, and goes up next year.
Do you put her in the Rumble? Do you debut her on the Netflix Raw?
I would go.
You could do both.
Rumble.
You can have her show up on the 6th Raw, say I'm going to be in the Rumble and build her up for a big Rumble appearance. Or you can just have her in the Rumble, have a good showing. Eh? Both are possible.
I'd say Rumble. I think that's where she's probably going to be in. And it might not even be until Raw after Mania. And that's when they end up doing the official call up. But I think she'll be in NXT at least through the rest of this year.
What do you think of the possibility of doing? I don't love this idea, but I want your thoughts on it. You've got Julia coming in, you've got Delta coming in, you've got Stephanie Vacker coming in. Do you do a one-on-one match with all three women versus Roxanne, and Roxanne either narrowly escapes or cheats her way, or something happens that motivates a four-way? Do you want to do a four-way with these women to then be Roxanne's bye-bye? All three women kind of go to Ava and they're just like, come on, look at the footage. Like she's messed her way out of it, blah, blah, blah. Like she doesn't deserve it, but she's a heel. That's kind of the other side of the story. So do you do something like that to motivate the inevitable title change when Roxy finally drops it? Or do you make somebody one-on-one?
I got it, Joel. I got it. You have Roxanne narrowly escape all of this. She's the savvy NXT veteran. She's the heel, so she escapes all the one-on-one matches. They do the four-way match, right? Everyone thinks, oh, this is definitely where Roxanne's finally losing. Bozilla comes in as Roxanne's heater. Let's go.
Yes. Bozilla, forever Bozilla. And then they all joined Damage Control because Damage Control needed to change. And so far, the change has not been very, very good. So maybe that's the change.
Everybody's been hurt, unfortunately.
Oh, I know. I can't wait until they're back to 100%. Actually, I thought you were going to say she goes up to the main roster and drops the title like her hero Asuka. You want to talk about good moves? Just go on a 500 day undefeated streak and then just bye-bye NXT title. Have fun. That's what you do. She should tease that. She should tease being like, I beat everyone. I'm going. Bye-bye. And then Ava should just be like, we're not doing this. You're gonna defend the title. Bozilla, by the way, who is she? Bozilla is a fantastic wrestler who has made a lot of waves of Marigold over in Japan. But she's a monster. She is a monster, especially amongst all those women. She's a presence. You want to look up Bozilla. And on top of that, she's working Marigold to the end of the year. At least that's her plan as of right now. And then after that, who knows where she goes? But I would love to see her stateside because that's a pickup. That's a long-term development you got.
It's happening at some point. It's happening.
It has to. If Marigold is going to be a feeder system at all to NXT or WWE, this is someone who needs to come that way because she turned a lot of heads and got a lot of applause as early as like the first Marigold shows. And people were all over her. I'd like to see that. Yeah, so those are the big moments from No Mercy. There was just those three really big hit points. New tag team champions, Chase U got turned on by Ridge Holland. That was a little bit expected. Poor Chase U.
Ridge Holland.
Poor Andre Chase. Poor my watch going off at that moment. I don't know what
just happened.
Oh, apparently my watch tried to look up Ridge Holland and then found some stuff on Ridge Holland. So there you go. Yeah.
What kind of Ridge Holland did you find?
It was the Wikipedia entry. That's all it is. This thing goes off at the weirdest times. I have a Series 3 Apple Watch. It's an old Apple Watch. But if you tell it to read you a story, it actually finds public domain stories and reads them to you. My kid loves it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Chase U is currently, they're depleted, but they're not done. They weren't destroyed. They were beat down by one man in his angered tendencies. He lost the tag titles for his team. I mean, technically, Andre Chase did. But yeah, that's a thing that happened. Kind of expected. The Champ U shirts. Will you buy one?
No.
Coward.
I mean, you said it was expected. Like, I guess so. But they've been teasing the Fraxium fracture for so long. And then they just put the belts back on them. And then they just had Ridge turn on Chase U. So I don't think it was a swerve for the sake of a swerve. Like, there was some story there with Ridge and him helping Chase U, but what's his name? Duke Hudson being like, I don't trust this guy, and then being proven right in the end. It seems like the Fraxium, that's a dumb name, by the way, Nathan Frazier and Axiom are going to be just fine. They just got the titles back, and they'll continue to go along their merry way now until they defend them. They'll defend them in like 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is their next title defense. Whoever wins this three-way match on Tuesday.
Presumably Hank and Tank.
I don't know if it's going to be them. It honestly might be Gallus. I know everybody wants the Rascals, and like that would be the best match, but I don't know if they're going to put the Rascals in that spot. Like, I truthfully think it might just be Gallus, and then Gallus loses.
Does Wes Lee have a friend? Like, does he have anyone that could team with him or that would join him?
No, he's a fucking dick. He turned on his friends. He had friends, then he was a prick.
If Steven Jensen were here, he'd be like, Myron Reed is going to join Wes Lee. And like, listen, there's a part of me that's like, that would be great. Don't expect it. If it happened, wonderful. Great. Tell that story. But I don't know who it could be. Because I assume it's going to turn into a tag team of some sorts. Wes Lee being like, I'm the new Rascals, taking on the original Rascals. And the winner gets the Rascals name or something like that. I don't know. It's listen, we just talked about Harlem Heat in WCW 2000. At one point, there were wrestlers fighting over a T and the name Harlem Heat. So, like, what are the opportunities here that are presenting to us?
Maybe it's somebody on like the come up that we aren't thinking. It seems like Lexus King or something. Or maybe it's one of the, maybe it's one of the college recruits that might be working live events but hasn't really been on television, and that's who they get for this as the way to debut him as Wes Lee's kind of heater. They get Obafemi. That's who we should recruit. Like, look, I know we've had our issues. I can't challenge you for this title. How about we work together? Oba's like, yeah, sure. Beat the shit out of these TNA dudes.
Yeah, why not? Dante Chen should be him. Everything should be Dante Chen. But also, I'm just looking at the roster. I wish Javier Bernal was back. That's someone that you can kind of have a little fun with in this story, but he's nowhere. He's out. He's still injured as far as I understand.
Ed, use somebody that maybe hasn't been on TV. Use somebody that debut him in kind of a big spot here, assuming they got somebody ready. I don't know if they do, but assuming they do, then I'd put somebody in this spot and make them part of it.
It's going to be Brooks Jensen.
Yeah.
Or it could be the return. Well, Josh Briggs should not return as a heel. He should be a babyface.
Yeah, Brooks Jensen, Sean Spears. Like, I guess theoretically, it could be them. Yeah, I'd have it be somebody where Wes is like, you know what, this guy was there for me when I was injured. He was at the PC every day as well. He really wanted to learn from me and talk to me. JPL. He really wanted to learn from me, and pick my brain, and he really motivated me when I was out injured and stuff. So you can do something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. As we start to wind down, do we want to talk about Capital Collision real quick? I mean, the two matches, I guess there were 3 matches that
this show is trash compared to TNA Emergence.
Go ahead and tell the people why you hate Mercedes Moné. Go ahead. I want you to just go ahead. Floor is yours, Jeremy Lambert.
Nah, I thought this was a really good show. I thought Mercedes and Momo was probably the best match on Friday night.
It was very good.
Yeah. It's not like the TNA had some good, decent matches, but Mercedes and Momo was levels above any of that. Gabe Kidd and Leo Rush was really good, and Mustafa Ali and Hiromu was really good, much better than their first match. So it was one of the more inconsequential New Japan shows, honestly. Usually these New Japan shows, they kind of load up with some debuts. They kind of they have some challenges. Really, the only challenge to come out of this was Tanahashi and Ishii step into TMDK. They were the number 1 contenders. They won the number 1 contender match earlier in the night, and then they stepped to TMDK after they defended the tag team titles, and that was set up for Royal Quest. Otherwise, it was an inconsequential, just kind of good wrestling show. And again, usually on these shows, it's like, oh, a champion wins, here comes somebody to confront him as the next challenger. Oh, the champion wins, here comes somebody to confront her as the next challenger. They didn't do any of that. It was just, here's some really good wrestling matches, and we move forward.
My big problem with the show was just the visual quality of it. That's something they got to work on. Better cameras, more lights. That's it's technical stuff that I hope that New Japan USA starts putting a little more emphasis on. Or maybe they had plans and maybe something fell through. I don't know, but that was my one kind of turn off of the show itself. But the wrestling was good because guess what? The wrestlers know how to wrestle and they do a good job with it. By the way, you did mention matches from Emergence that were good. Macklin and Eric Young was one that I did want to mention. It's a very classic style wrestling match, very straightforward storytelling in the ring. This was a match where if you watch these two men, you can tell they're having the best time, that they are loving the story that they're putting together. Watch that match. Macklin and EY put on a very, very solid match. So go check that out. I said the same thing in my post-show review with Cresta that's on this channel. It was really strong stuff. Macklin deserves it. And yeah, CEO did well too. Again, thank you for doing the dance. Good match, man. Nobody was surprised to find out that Mercedes Moné was going to have a great match against Momo Watanabe. That was expected. Meanwhile, Hikaru Shida and Mercedes Moné is on the docket for All Outs. She won a fatal 4-way, did Shida, on Collision in the main event to get the spot. I watched Collision. I wish I had just watched the main event of Collision.
So I'll say this about Collision. And they did this with Rampage as well. Throughout the show, they did video packages on the people in the main event that built to it and made it feel very important. I like that from Collision and from Rampage. I want to see more of that. Now the goal is to make the rest of the show also feel important. Because Collision, when I looked at this card, and we talked about it on Friday, they had nothing announced for Collision. When we did our show on Friday, they finally announced matches during Rampage. And then you looked at the lineup and it's like, okay, FTR and Undisputed Kingdom. Gee, wonder who's going to win that match. Oh, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Hologram against Lee Moriarty, Johnny TV, and Beast Mortos. Apologies to Beast Mortos. I do like him. Gee, wonder who's going to win that match. It was just a lot of matches that you kind of knew who was going to, and then they announced like Buddy Matthews and Commander on like Saturday at 5:00. Like, okay. Like it's a lot of inconsequential matches on that show. Now, sometimes it leads to something. They had Grizzled Young Vets come out and attack FTR, but you just like beat Undisputed Kingdom again, which fine. But like they were just your ROH tag team champions. So you're just kind of telling us like, yeah, that doesn't really matter. Matthews beating Commander led to MXM Collection kind of issuing a challenge.
Random as
very random.
Very,
very random. Yeah. And then Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy are now teaming with Will Ospreay because Pac was like, I got some friends and I want to face you in a trios match. We still, by the way, don't really have an explanation of why Pac and Claudio and Yuta are friends after Pac screwed them over in blood and guts last year. And also
he said it because he got his Wembley moment. He basically said so in his promo.
So and I guess Claudio is just like forgetting about the Okada stuff. He's like, yeah, sure, let me do this random trios match that the feud is Ospreay and Pac, and let's just forget about me going to a time. Here's the gimmick for Claudio. You ready?
Short-term memory loss.
He should be like really feuding with the Bucks though, because he had the time limit draw against FTR, right? And then that went nowhere because that's when Dax got hurt and he took the time off. But Brandon Cutler was like, nope, you don't get more time. And then he had the time limit draw against Okada, and the Bucks were like, nope, you don't get more time. This is the contract. Claudio should be like the time limit draw guy. I don't know how this gimmick actually pays off into anything, except he just keeps going to time limit draws and then they just forget about him. The Bucks are just like, no, you can't go further. And Claudio's got to wrestle at like a faster pace than he already does. He's like, shit, I can't go 20 minutes. It's like WWE speed. I can't go 20 minutes. If I go to a time limit draw, they're going to screw me over and they're not going to give me more time. So he's like wrestling. He's like really trying to beat these guys even quicker than before. And then finally, he does get a match against the Young Bucks or Brandon Cutler because the Young Bucks don't feel like taking this L. He gets a match against Brandon Cutler and beats him. He's like, all those time limit draws are worth it because I beat Brandon Cutler, who said I could not have more time. That's my gimmick for Claudio.
I prefer short-term memory loss.
At some point, like, they got to do something with this, right? Like, I don't know if they will, but it's there. It's there to do something.
This is always the thing with AEW is they're really good at calling back. Like TK does this, where whenever he's promoting a match, he brings up the history between the opponents when it's a big match. But oftentimes that level of thought isn't necessarily being brought through to average fans. And this is a whole other conversation about storytelling and presentation and all that. But like, I give them the credit of making the connections, but I don't like the fact that the connections are made either so loosely or so far away that if you're not following, you're not rewarded. That's always been my big concern, or my biggest issue with AEW and some of the storylines that they have, is that they'll reach back to pull something in, and it's like, cool, I really have to be a historian to watch this show. And that's Tony. Tony is a wrestling historian. He's a huge fan and he's got good ideas, but some of those ideas get lost in the shuffle of his head. And as a result, some of the stories just don't conglomerate as well as they could. See what I did there? So yeah, that's kind of where my brain is at when I'm watching AEW. It's like, I really have to be in that bubble to understand why we're doing this, or I have to do the homework. And this is what I've talked about a million times over. I hate any wrestling company that makes you do extra work to understand why something's important on their show. So I hope they fix it. I'd love to see them. It opens up your fan base. It opens up the accessibility of your product when you make the fans who are new understand why you should buy in and why you should care about something that may have happened 3 years ago. And that way you know it happened.
They used to do a very good job of like picking up on these little things and making them feel important, or threading them together and calling back to them. Where now a lot of the stuff just falls through the cracks more than it should. And I don't think there's an actual plan for Claudio in these time limit draws, mind you. Maybe there is, but it doesn't feel like it. Again, I know Dax got hurt, and so maybe they couldn't follow up whatever they wanted to follow up to. Where's the follow-up for Claudio and Okada? There's no reason for this not to be followed up. Claudio should be pissed. Claudio should be like, you didn't beat me. I should be the Continental Champion, or at least you got to prove you can beat me for this title. Instead, he's just like, yeah, I'm Trios Champion now. I'll just kind of be friends with Pac, even though he's screwed us over at Blood and Guts. Like, doesn't seem like there was any care, any plan into this. And again, maybe it seems like a minor thing, you guys are nitpicking. Little stuff like this adds up. The Blackpool Combat Club, I've talked about many times. They never feel like they're together. They're heels one week, their faces one week. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes they do a good job with it. And it's like, oh yeah, they would hate that person for this reason. They would like that person for that. That's fine. But like, they also just don't seem together at all. When one guy gets attacked and nobody there to make a save, it's like, are you guys friends? Are you guys like really together? Mox doing this whole thing now. Apparently Claudio and Brian just don't even care that he's back and doing this. There's no concern at all for him. Just like, yeah, it's just Mox being Mox. All right, cool.
Yeah, strong. Listen, strong Collision in terms of building up the story for the main event.
Yes.
And like you said, I want to see more of that too. I want to see this turn into part of their presentation, because you had the rant earlier. Go back to the 50th minute of this show. And there's your short, by the way, about the WWE presentation of sports and why they're best at it. That's the short, by the way. Just
that was a good short. Honestly.
Yeah, that's the production note for you. We get it online today. But if you go back and if you listen to that, like, that is what I hope AEW noms onto. Not that they become a WWE like presentation, but that they take that sports like presentation of a video package hyping up a show and making it part of it regularly. Because that's something that I've always wanted from AEW, is let things breathe a little bit and move it forward so that we can understand the importance of a moment. And that's what they did on Saturday, and that's what they did with this 4-way. And the match was good. Shida defeats Queen Aminata. People were definitely wanting Aminata to get the opportunity, and I think that this will happen down the line as well for Mercedes. Serena D was also involved in Thunder Rosa as well. These are 4 women that inevitably will face Mercedes Moné in some way, shape, or form, whether it's on a TV show or a pay-per-view. Shida's up next. They're doing the second one. This will be good. All Out's looking like it's going to be a solid wrestling card, and we'll see what they add on Wednesday on Dynamite.
I think wrestling wise, it's going to be really strong. Like bell to bell stuff. They got a really good lineup for All Out. Maybe people don't care about it because the build is only 2 weeks and some of it feels rushed, but otherwise, like bell to bell wise, I'm looking at this lineup. I'm like, oh yeah, all these matches are going to be really good.
You know what? School just started. Pile Driver Finisher is going to go do his homework for AEW programming and study up. Finals are next week. Don't forget.
Finals are on Saturday. All Out. Study up.
That's right. Got to get ready for Saturday. We're going to have previews, of course. We're going full bore this week. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. Raw tonight. Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders tournament. Sheamus, Bronson Reed, Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser's going to lose again. Think Bronson Reed continues on this tormenting quest?
If you're going to have Bronson Reed lose, one, you shouldn't have him take a pinfall. So this would be an easy way of like Sheamus pins Kaiser or Kaiser pins Sheamus. Because if I'm having Bronson Reed win, I guess it's a 4-way match to determine who becomes #1 contender. So he doesn't have to take a loss there either. As long as Bronson doesn't take an L, I'm fine. Maybe Braun comes back and like attacks Bronson, something like that.
Man, I said it last week. This is what I want. Ludwig and Sheamus are big brogue kick. Sheamus goes for the pin, 1-2 out of nowhere. Bronson Reed hits the splash to break up the pin and then turn it around, get the pin on either Sheamus or Ludwig, probably Ludwig, but Sheamus, both men are out and he pins it and he wins it. That's what I want. Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders also on there. Ilya Dragunov, Dragon Lee, and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Does Dragon Lee finally get a win? Or does Dominic Mysterio eke it out? Or do we get Ilya Dragunov moving forward? Because it's been a while since we've seen him on TV.
I kind of think Dominic might win this. I don't know why. I just do.
Put him in the 4-way. I mean, listen, he's a versatile performer. Yeah. Why not? Who does he pins? Who gets to pin Dragon Lee in this match?
Dominic.
Dominic pins Dragon Lee.
Yeah.
That's fine. Zelina Vega versus Shayna Baszler.
Sure.
#1 contenders match for the tag titles, women's tag titles, Unholy Union against Damage Control. That's Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Damage Control look like they might be up next at this rate.
Hey, they should. Unholy Union against Jade and Bianca was fun at Bash in Berlin, but I want to see Damage Control against Jade and Bianca. Although I guess Damage Controls are baby faces now, so maybe it doesn't quite work.
No, you can make it work. Damage Control kind of works tweener right now because this is just it'll become a respect match. Yeah. And also just the size differential that they'll play up with Damage Control versus Jade, especially. I think there'll be some fun moments in there. Might be good to see. Jade and Bianca have their tag team championship celebration. I assume that's going to happen before this number one contendership match. It'll all bleed in, and they'll have the champion sitting ringside, blah blah blah, and that'll be that. That's fine. That's not the first time, not the last time. And then in the main event, presumably American Made take on Alpha Academy. I don't think this is the main event. I think
this ain't main event.
This is just a match. I would put the Sheamus triple threat as the main event.
Yeah,
that's the one I would do. American Made take on Alpha Academy. That's going to be the Creeds and Ivy Nile versus Otis, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree.
Fine. They had something with Otis. They had something with Otis like a month ago, and it ain't there anymore. And I think they missed their shot with doing a real. I don't know if you like could push Otis to the moon or anything. I'm not saying that, but they had a real chance to make him more than comedy tag team guy, and they missed it with the Gable stuff. And I don't know if you can go get back around to it. They might try with this, but I don't know if it's there anymore.
We'll find out tonight. Raw is going to be on. We'll talk about it on Wednesday in a whole.
Tessator on the call. Very curious to see how he does.
Joe Tessator's first night on Raw. This will be good. It'll be a good show for him to get his feet wet with a bunch of triple threat matches. A lot going on, so we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, this is a interesting looking Raw. We'll see how it plays out, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday. We'll be back on our main channel, that is Fightful Overbooked. Our main channel, not this one. This is another main channel, but our main channel is Fightful Overbooked. We're live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Jeremy and I will be back on Wednesday at the time just mentioned. Anything you want to plug before we get on out of here?
Surprisingly, yes. Our interview with Mike Rallis and Tennille Dashwood is going up literally right after this show. So everybody can go over to Fightful Overbooked right now. You know what? I'll publish this live on air for everybody. So everyone can go over to Fightful Overbooked in seconds and check out the interview that we did with Mike Rallis and Tennille Dashwood talking about the BLP Wrestlers Combine that is coming up on Wednesday. And we talked about kind of wrestling during COVID, how they both sort of navigated that. We talked about the growth of the WWPC and the combines they used to hold at the WWPC. Joel asked a very good question about Mike wrestling Gunther at Elimination Chamber and how that was not really in the plans, and then it became in the plans. And then we talked about Paul Heyman and Paul Heyman's belief in Mike and what he saw in him and his relationship with Paul Heyman. And I asked if Kevin Durant ever reached out to try to get training tips from Mike as well. So really fun interview. We did like 35 minutes?
31 minutes. Then we ran a time on our side. We had other stuff going on.
Yeah. So
we had to bump them because we're the stars, right?
It's really, really fun interview. Everyone go check it out. It should be up right now. If it is not, refresh your feed, but fightfuloverbooked.com. Everyone go check out that interview.
Check that out. Articles will be running, I'm sure, as well from this.
I'm literally about to publish one after this show too.
There we go. For Jeremy Lambert, I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.